As a kid, I loved the Toy Story film. And you know what I loved? The Genesis game. I played that game every time I got back from school, before I went to bed, and every time I got a chance. A fantastic game. It was pretty much Disney's answer to Donkey Kong Country. Bought a Sega Genesis yesterday, got it from a very nice thrift shop around the block from that every kind of old couple running the place. And with that, there were cartridges of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Aladdin, The Incredible Hulk, and to my joy, Toy Story. Finally, I thought to myself that I much needed at least a blast from the past. It was Friday and I had gotten off the weekend from my job at the local Walmart. I was ready for a weekend-long nostalgia bonanza, just me and my Genesis. So after blowing on the cartridge and inserting the disc, I switched the knob on. After skipping the company logos and legal notices, I just got to the title screen. It was Woody's arms crossed, grimacing at Buzz, who was showing off to the other toys. I hit the start button, and Woody cried, "Yee-haw!" as expected. After starting the game, though, after Buzz Lightyear flew across the screen, knocked over the Toy Story logo, things started to go downhill. After the description of what happened in the movie, a complete with photos with the first level started, where you would have to flee from the Green Army men and prepare the baby monitor for Andy's birthday party. An easy stage. But when things were a little off, a little being an understatement, the lighting was the evening sunset, similar to the stages right after the RC level, where Woody is confronted by the toys and must help Rex escape from the room. Level design was just the same as the original aside from that, but the background music was the Nightmare Buzz theme. I didn't know what was going on, but I played along, I guess. As I ran through the levels, I noticed that there were no obvious enemies near my path, but a few obstacles to attack with my pull string. At the end of the stage, on the shelf where the baby monitor would be, there were small pieces of what seemed to be similar to Bo Peep's limbs. Buzz was standing there waiting. When I had landed on the ground, a cutscene was triggered. Words appeared over a black background. No music, no digitalized images from the film, just words in the normal white font. Bo Peep took a tumble. "She's gone, Woody." I was a bit startled by this. This wasn't until Toy Story 3 that Bo Peep was written off, but whatever happened, this is a hack, a joke, or part of the original plot? Then I saw a completely animated, digitalized CGI clip. It looked like one of those Sega CD clips with the 64-bit graphic capabilities. Much lower than 240p, but probably would have taken slightly impressive at the time. The clip featured a shocked, heartbroken Woody holding and staring into the eyes of Bo Peep's severed head, what was going into a sobbing fit and repeating the words, "No." Bo Peep's eyes were staring lifelessly back at him. The weird part, it was the clip from the first Toy Story film. During the scene where Woody lights the match to light Buzz's rocket, only to be wharfed by a passing car. As Woody sobbed, Buzz shouted in shame and pouted. Then the clip ended with Woody, who turned his head towards the screen with a menacing glare. With a look of a enraged killer, it faded to black, and then another audio file played. "You!" Another quote from Toy Story, when Andy abandoned the toys at the gas station by mistake. Gameplay had returned, but apparently I was now fighting Buzz. He seemed to be walking quite slowly towards me. Seemed like an easy battle. Things got real as soon as I whipped Buzz. His parts went flying everywhere, and Wilhelm's scream with sound effect was playing like in the movie. It felt like corny at first, but then the screen faded to more white text. "This was your fault, Buzz. I loved her more than Andy could ever love you." Now what that was really puzzled me. Woody wouldn't even dare compare his love for Bo Peep and his devotion for Andy, let alone Buzz's this cartridge was getting stranger by the minute. This was still a lot of Mr. Potato pointed at Woody. "Murderer!" cried yet another recycled clip from Toy Story 1. The shot then faded and then was replaced with a clip of Woody again, staring at the screen. Gameplay went back up apparently. I was supposed to whip Potato Head, Robot, Rocky, Ham, and strangely enough even Rex. who helps you during the game. No music was in the background, it just sounded like a church bell striking 12. The pieces went everywhere as I swatted one of the boys one after the other. Finally, after swatting Rex, the screen then faded again. There were more white texts. I won't live in this world without her. Then it showed a CGI clip of Woody falling out of the same window that Buzz was knocked out of in the movie, except he ended up landing in the driveway, with his head shattered loudly and violently into shards of plastic as his body lay lifelessly. After the cutscene faded, I was taken to the fight with the Nightmare Buzz. Things were the exact same, except rather the usual quote that plays before the fight. You wouldn't want to be in the way when my laser goes off. The sound clip was Buzz murmuring, "What did you do it, Woody?" I tried to fight back, but the lasso could only go through him, unharmed, even when I was checking his wrist communicator. After helplessly losing all my health, Woody went to his game over animation, where he would bleakly pound on the floor. Then Buzz flew into Woody, and both of them dissolved into the background. Another fade, and more text. There's only one place suited for your kind, cowboy. Then a hellish cave with green fire faded into the words game over, along with the normal game over music. Then it faded to one last text. I'm sorry, Bo. I couldn't skip the text. It seemed to be one of those unskippable scenes, like when you beat a game. I shut off the system, pulled out the cartridge, and played some Aladdin. I didn't sleep at all weekend. And that, my little pretties, was She's Gone Woody, a Toy Story Lost Game creepypasta written by Deven247. My final thoughts on this story? I gotta say, I remember narrating this one back in 2019 sometime. I can't really remember what month it was when I first narrated this one. But I decided to go ahead and, narrate this now because, oh my goodness, I haven't read this story in like a while. Like, it's a really good Toy Story creepypasta. Like, this one was written back in 2014, so this is actually one of the fewer creepypastas that managed to sit there and, do something good without the audacity of sitting there and, doing some, cliches all over the place or anything like that. I mean, what can I actually say I like about this story? Well, for one, I do like how, basically the startup of the story, somebody, going to, get a Sega Genesis from like a thrift store, bought a couple games for it, and even the Toy Story one. Now, I know it seems cliche, but I'm willing to excuse it because it actually was pretty well written, and that cliche, for whatever reason, managed to work. I mean, it's really hard to make I'm gonna say this now, it's hard to make a good gaming creepypasta without sitting there and incorporate a cliche, but unless you get it to work somehow, then yeah, I don't see how that story would, not work with that cliche, but this one actually worked. So, that's one thing I could definitely say was a good positive, the startup. The game where it comes up with, Bo Peep being, severed into pieces and she's gone. Like, there's no reason on what actually happened to her. Like, I don't know why Bo Peep was dead or something in this creepypasta. Maybe I have a feeling that maybe somebody hacked into the game and changed it up a bit, or maybe somebody must have, made this fan-made game of the Toy Story game just to get some shits and giggles. I mean, who really knows, to be honest? I have a feeling it's probably somebody who managed to hack the game, messed it up, or it's probably some fan-made game someone made. Like, maybe it was, somebody behind the scenes making this game and decided to change it up a bit. I think that's just me, though, but I'm not really sure. The describing of the game was pretty neat. It wasn't cliched with hyper-realistic blood, hyper-realistic gore, and whenever Woody was, turning his head, towards to the person, with a glare towards the screen, it's not like he's giving bloodshot eyes or anything like that. Like, thank God that didn't become the case, because most creepypastas literally do that, like, nowadays. But I mean, It was really well done of how the gameplay written. I did notice maybe a few cliches, like one of them being, no, the text pops up with white fonts or something. I mean, it worked pretty good because the protagonist and the author of this story manages to incorporate the cliches really well. Although there were a few cliches in this one, it manages to incorporate and tackle it really well, not just sitting there, throwing cliches and all that for the sake of throwing it in there. Thank God it did not have any of that because, nowadays, cliche, I mean, it's really hard to write a good creepy gaming pasta without sitting there and, without sitting there putting, cliches on there. Like, I mean, I know writing a gaming pasta is probably not the easiest thing to do. I mean, writing a gaming pasta nowadays is like not the easiest thing to do. But for this pasta, it manages to incorporate it really well. Like it's not thrown in there for the sake of throwing it in there, which I'm grateful for that. And the protagonist manages to use this story. So I really have to say, and I gotta say, this story was actually pretty good. So, anyways, with that being said, the grammar was really good. I mean, the sentence structuring was great, the storyline went out well, and basically everything incorporated in this pasta was absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's not really easy to make a Lost Gaming pasta nowadays, but this one actually manages to do really well. So, to be completely and utterly honest, I actually find this story to be enjoyable. I did find it enjoyable sometime too. Sometime I guess you could say, what was it? Oh yeah, I guess sometime you could say around 2019. I really enjoyed this one. And I still like this story to this day. Like, I actually wanted to give it another narration of this one because holy hell, I remember this story and it's a pretty good story. And I recommend you guys go check this story out. This is on a creepypasta site. It's not on a wiki or anything, but it's on the creepypasta.org site, and it's a pretty good story. And I recommend you guys go check out this story if you haven't. It's pretty good. And yeah, and to be honest, I honestly thought I wasn't going to like this story at first, but after reading it, I actually really liked it. It's a good gaming pasta. It's actually one of the fewer good lost video game pastas that I've narrated because most video game creepypastas are sounding the same or they're just flat out cliched as ever. But this one manages to not, well, not only throw unnecessary cliches, but even though the cliche about, buying a Sega Genesis with the cartridge at a thrift store and, weird, a few other cliches that were incorporated in it, this pasta manages to, well, doing pretty well. So, I guess with that being the case and with that being said, I'm going to sit here and say this right now. Like I'm going to say this right now, and like I always continue to say, this is simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story would have to be I'm gonna give this one a 10 out of 10. It's a great Toy Story gaming pasta. It was really well made. It was beautifully written. It was fantastic and amazing. I mean, I've seen a couple of people narrated this story too, and they had their thoughts on this story. I honestly like this story because, because ever since I took a look at this story, it's really well done. I mean, sure, writing a creepypasta nowadays is probably not the easiest thing to do, but this one, it manages to do a pretty good with the writing and even the concept of its own self. So that is one thing I really have to say that I'm grateful for is the story being that good. So, anyways, with that being the case and with that being said, what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and if you're new to my channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Oh, excuse me, pardon me, sorry about that. Because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.